So good afternoon, friends. Today we are going to implement FusionAuth inside our Ruby on Rails application. So first of all, what we are required to do is first we need to download the FusionAuth and install it inside the Linux. And this documentation is explaining all about how to install it inside the Linux machine. Mostly we have like Ubuntu. And after installing that, uh, we need to do some configurations inside the inside the FusionAuth application. Okay, so first of all, we need to create. Okay, okay. After installation is done, after installation and after following all these steps which are available here, we need to start that FusionAuth service. And after that, when we visit this URL, localhost 9011, and we try to log in, and after logging into our application, then first we need to create a new application from this button. Okay, and we need to enter the credentials. So here I have already created my application here. So that was created on March 9. So I click on edit, and we need to provide these things. It's uh, application and everything. The client ID and secret will be generated automatically, and we don't need the client authentication. Okay, first we need to provide the uh, authorized redirect URL, and then we need to provide the origin of the website. Here I am using ngrok in my application, and this is the logout URL to reset the sessions which are created through in a Rails application through. Okay, and after creating that application, we need to create the tenant, and we need to provide these credentials. This ID will be automatically generated. This name we need to set up, and we can keep whatever name that will be great for you. That will be like easy to remember for us. And we need to provide this engine of URL, and then the theme which we are using default here is FusionAuth. But if we are going to use the paid version of FusionAuth, then we will get the provision to change the themes, this theme, and then we can generate the theme, and then we can customize these themes also. If we want to see how our theme is looking, then we can create on the preview button, and we can see these are the pages. So first we are concerned with authorize URL, and we can edit these pages also. I will show you later on how to edit these pages. Okay, so where are we? So we are at the tenant. So after generating these uh, tenant, we need to add it inside our application. There, okay. So first we need to create the tenant, and then add that tenant inside our application. Okay, and the third step will be goes to the API, and we need to generate one API key. I have generated this API key, and if we want to see its key, then we can either see it from here or we can see it from here. This is our authorized URL, and we need to store it inside our Rails Ruby on Rails application that I will show you in the time. Okay, and one thing more, we need the token also. The token which is used for conversion of the data which is coming from FusionAuth. This data we need to copy this token and need to place it inside our Ruby on Rails application. So the FusionAuth will give us the data, but that data will be in the encrypted form. So we need to decode that data, and we can decode it using this key, this ID. Okay, we need to okay using this secret. We need to copy the secret and paste inside our Ruby on Rails application. So a Ruby on Rails application is like this. In the README section, I have provided the URL from where we can download the FusionAuth server and install it inside our application. We need to run db.seed. So let's look at this db.seed, what we are doing inside it. Seed.rb. Okay, so this is how we are going to create the users inside the Fusion auth. Fusion is basically used for single sign-on and authentications. Single sign-on majorly it is used for. So these are the username and passwords, and this is the object which I am creating. And using this HTTP party call, I am calling the Fusion auth service to create my user at Fusion auth server, and this request will receive a response. If that response is 400, then there is something wrong with this. So if the user with this email ID is already there, so it is going to give you a 400 error. So in that case, we need to get that user with that same email ID, and then we are going to uh, fetch the fetch that user from the FusionAuth server. And after fetching it, we are going to find out the auth ID of that user over the FusionAuth, and then we need to register that user inside our in we need to register that user inside the FusionAuth so that he will be enabled so that after registering that user over the FusionAuth, he will be able to log into our application using single sign-on of FusionAuth. Okay, so let's check the FusionAuth server. Here, here it's the FusionAuth server, and we are looking at the users. So further dot punch. Okay, this we have this user, and this user is created for 13. Okay, today is 13th, so today I have created this user, and on opening it, yes, it is under registration tab. It is showing me that user is registered, and the application this user is registered as the super admin. So there are different roles with which we can register the user inside our FusionAuth application. Okay, and these are the different types. And if we want to see all the information regarding to this user, then we need to scroll a little bit, and we can see everything inside the source, all the details of that user. Okay, and we were discussing about different roles inside an application. So if we want to provide different roles, we can still manage it inside this tab. And we if we want to add one more role, we can add one more role. Simple. Okay, so a new role has been created, and this role can be used while creating the user inside our Ruby on Rails application, and it is shown here. Okay, inside roles we are defining super admin. Okay, so while registering the user, we can define the role with which we can register the user over our FusionAuth application. And there are these environment variable inside the Ruby on Rails application. These are the environment variables. So I have stored it inside the Ruby on Rails application using a gem file. And the gem file which I am using here is using Figaro. So if you want to read the documentation, go search it over the Google. And this After installing this Figaro gem inside the Ruby on Rails application, it will create an application.yml file. And under that application.yml file, we have provided inside the development environment, we have provided these things: FusionAuth client ID and client secret. And what these FusionAuth client ID, client secret, and website URL is, we can visit the application, FusionAuth application, and if we click on view, this ID is the client ID. Okay, so this is the client ID, and similarly, if uh, uh, this is the client secret, and this is the website URL. And this is the website URL is in the HTTPS because I am using ngrok for the application redirect. I have installed ngrok, and uh, I have started that ngrok inside my Ubuntu server, and ngrok I have started another server of ngrok. You can go to internet and read the documentation how the ngrok works. So it is very beneficial when we are integrating any third party inside the Ruby on Rails application, and that application require a HTTPS URL, so it's very helpful. We will create a separate video of how to use this ngrok. Okay, so yeah, and the FusionAuth tenant ID is present here inside the FusionAuth. Here is the client ID and the client secret. Client ID and the client secret. Website URL is generated by the ngrok, and I have copied it here. And this ngrok is forwarding all the requests which are coming to this URL to localhost 3000. Okay, so I have copied this URL, and uh, I have pasted it inside the FusionAuth here. Here, these are the URL. This is authorizer request. So, and this is the logout response URL, and this is authorize request, and we were discussing about token ID. So this is the token ID. If we copy here, this token ID, FusionAuth tenant ID is this, and then authorization URL means from where it is getting generated. Authorization URL is present inside setting, inside keys. We need to add one thing, and this key will be generated automatically. I have generated it already, and it's already present there. So this is the ID. Okay. So this key is the authorizer ID, and it is copied here. Authorization, and this token, where token is present. Token is like it. The token depends upon uh, whatever encoding JWT encoding we are using. So uh, it's already present inside the application. If we want to customize it, then we need to generate it. So we can use the key masters, and we are using this HS256 decoding and encoding. Okay, so we have copied this. This is the secret. So we are using this, and we have copy pasted it inside our Ruby on Rails application. Okay, so let's go back to our seed file. In the seed file, this is the object which we are creating after reading the FusionAuth API documentation, and our user get registered through this call. And if there is some error, we are going to fetch that user. If that user is already present, we are going to fetch that user from by using his email ID. And after fetching that email ID, we are going to find out its auth ID, and then we are going to register that user using its auth ID, and this is the object which we have made. Okay, we are going to send the registration request of auth ID, and we are going to pass tenant ID as well as authorization. And after that, the user will get registered to the FusionAuth application, and it will be shown here inside the users we can display. This is the user which is created. Okay, so uh, let's take another example. So suppose if we are going to like update it with a dot punch uh, new, we are registering this user. If we want to run the BBC, we can again run Rails DB seed. So it is displaying that this user has been created, and it is returning me. FusionAuth is giving me this response. And when I'm doing the registration, FusionAuth is giving me this response. So let's check at the FusionAuth if the user is created or not. Here, the user is created, and if I try to log in through my application, Ruby on Rails application, let's try to log in. Okay, this is the URL which I have copied from here. If I click on sign in, it is going to redirect me to the FusionAuth page, and I have written this code here. Use index. When we click on the login button, it is going to take us to the auth controller and login action. So let's visit the auth controller. We will come to this action, and this action is redirecting us authorizer URL. So authorizer URL we have provided. Authorizer URL is FusionAuth application authorizer, and this URL we have provided inside the application.yml. So it will take us to this URL. Okay, it will redirect us to this page, and it has this is the syntax. So our user is redirected this page to this page, and now we are going to log in through this user. So it has successfully logged in us. We are showing that this is the email ID, and if we click on logout, it will do the logout, and again we landed into the landing page of the website on logout. Sorry. Okay, for logout, we have written the code here. When we do the login, we find out means on successful login, it is going to redirect us to auth callback. So where we have given this thing that this is the after successful login redirect the user to this page, to this action, to our URL. We have already suggested the FusionAuth application on successful authorization redirect the user to this page. Authorize redirect URL. We have provided this URL, and this is the URL to callback. So at this URL, the FusionAuth application will redirect our user to. So at OAuth function, the user will be redirected, and we have provided the routes for it. Okay, so we have provided the routes. This OAuth callback, uh, OAuth inside OAuth controller, OAuth callback action will be called on the successful redirect, and when the redirect will happen, it will give us the response, and we have this token which will be returned from there, and we will do the decoding of the data which we are going to get it. And this is the token decoding class I have given here, and this is the environment token. This token we are using for decoding the data which is provided to us from the FusionAuth application. The data will get decoded, and the data will be returned. After successful decoding, this data will be returned. After decoding of the data will be stored inside the decode block, and inside the decode block we are finding if we have any user inside the database with this email ID. If that user is present, we are going to create that session with that email address. If that user is not present inside our application using this email ID, we are going to create that user, and we are going to store its AUD, subject, and these are the credentials which are provided to us from the FusionAuth. And we are going to, if if these credentials are provided to us and that user is not present inside the database, we are going to create a new user, and we are going to, after creating that new user, we are going to create the session. And after successful creation of that session, we are going to, okay, we are creating one more session, and then we are going to redirect to the to the root path, home page of the application. And this is, okay, we are logging in. Okay, we are redirected to the home page, and the session, through session, this value is getting displayed. Or, okay, and we can see that here, index page. You are signed in as, okay, user is there, user dot email ID. So inside, let's go to the URL. Let's go to which page? Home hash index. So home controller index action. Controller index action. Here we are finding the user. We are finding the user and then redirecting that user to the landing page of the website. And on the landing page, we are displaying his email ID. And on the logout action, we will call the logout function of OAuth controller. This is the OAuth controller. We are going to call the logout action. We are going to find the session, if the session with that email ID exists. If that session exists, we are going to find that user, and we are going to fetch the auth ID, and then we are going to redirect to the FusionAuth application auth logout, and then we are going to provide the auth ID, and then it is going to log us out of that FusionAuth and log out us. Okay, let's see online. It is logging us out from the FusionAuth, and then after doing the successful logout, it has redirected us to this page. So let's look at the FusionAuth application. Inside the FusionAuth application, we have provided that on successful logout, we should redirect the user to reset session, reset sessions action. And inside, let's go to our Ruby on Rails application and see what is written here. Inside the reset session, we have, inside the routes reset sessions, auth reset sessions function will be called. Let's go to this section. Reset session is going to reset the sessions of the Ruby on Rails application, and as well as it is going to clear those sessions, and then it is going to redirect us to the home page of the website, landing page of the website. So it has successfully done it. So this is how we are going to use it inside a Ruby on Rails application. So the database of the application is already is this. So I am attaching this database in my repository, in my GitHub repository, and I will be sharing the URL of the GitHub repository alongside in the description of this video. Browse this table. So these are our users. Okay, and this is the auth ID which we are getting. So and all other parameters which we are getting which we are getting from the FusionAuth. So we are storing it inside our database to manage those users. Okay, my GitHub repository is here. This is my GitHub FusionAuth repository, and inside the README, I have provided like this is from where you can install the FusionAuth inside the Linux, and then install this Ruby on Rails application, run the seed file, and you can log in with this email ID and password, and you can edit the db.seed file to produce db.seed file according to your FusionAuth application. Okay, thank you.